Welcome back to LimQ Plus, everyone. On this channel, I'm 100%ing Breath of the Wild by a bit every day until the sequel comes out, which today is in 168 days. I will talk about different topics every day while playing, and I hope you enjoy. We are starting today off at 8% completion. My goal today is to reach 9. Okay, nice math, man. My goal is to reach 9% today by getting a bunch of Koroks, maybe some shrines. And the topic I wanted to talk about today, because I was thinking about this recently on stream, is my favorite items, items in Breath of the Wild. My favorite item for each category. Favorite weapon, favorite bow, favorite shield, favorite armor, etc. And why. So, that's what I want to go over today. Let me know if you really disagree with me. Let me know your favorites. And let's get right into it. Let's start with weapons. So the thing is, my view on all of this is gonna be slightly different when it's about speedrunning. Because nowadays we have a glitch called Weapon Modifier Corruption where we can create our own weapons and we can like durability transfer, making weapons stronger than they're supposed to be. So I'm not gonna count that. I'm not gonna count these glitches. I'm gonna talk casually. Well, maybe not casually, but because obviously my opinion is inherently gonna be different because I'm a speedrunner, right? So I will like other weapons more because of a specific trait than potentially you, and I will explain why, but I'm not gonna consider glitches that make a weapon different. That's what I wanted to say. That being said, I want to start with a normal weapon, like a melee weapon. And as boring as this is, as boring as it is, I recently watched a video where this guy said, I rate your personality depending on your favorite Breath of the Wild weapon. And they said, if this weapon is your favorite weapon, you're just incredibly basic. And I guess I'm just incredibly basic. But my favorite weapon, casually, is just the Master Sword. I don't have the Master Sword on this specific file yet. But especially the 60 damage Master Sword is incredibly fun to use and incredibly satisfying to look at. Not only are you essentially wielding like a lightsaber, that's kind of what it feels like most of the time, but you also have a 60 damage one-hand weapon, and that is oftentimes incredibly underrated. So there is weapons in this game, like the Lionel Crusher, that with attack up buffs, and I'm not talking about glitches, I'm talking attack up modifiers, can reach over 100 damage, which, big number always sounds cool. And technically, if you use the backwards spin hit, there's this mechanic in the game, I'm still pretty sure it's not intentional, so maybe it would be considered a glitch. But essentially there's this mechanic in the game where if you hit an enemy while facing your back to it with the spin attack, you can get 2 hits per rotation. So with that Lionel Crusher, that would be 200 damage. If you then additionally eat attack up food, suddenly you're dealing 400 damage per rotation. It gets quite ridiculous. Technically, you can even get higher than that if you use the Battle Axe ++ with 75 damage, which is the highest one you can get, and use specific gear and attack up power to increase your damage even further. You can reach ridiculous numbers, but the Master Sword, while only having 60 damage, is not to be underrated. The speed that you can attack with a one-hand weapon, obviously compared to a two-hand weapon, right, is a huge advantage in lots of different combat scenarios. There's actually this combo you can do in the game, the Scimitar of the Seven, is another one. I talked about this before. This weapon only has 32 damage, so it seems pretty low. But once you actually get a lot of hits in, you realize that that's actually quite a bit of damage. You can get 1, 2, 3, 4 hits in pretty quickly, or after the third hit, you can buffer a spin attack by spamming your stick in a circle after the second attack. So after the second attack, you start spinning your stick, and you get a spin attack. And that spin attack can hit up to 3 times, making it so that you can get 6 hits sometimes, if you get all of the spin hits, almost instantaneously. And that with a 60 damage Master Sword, potentially attacker power, that means 90 damage per hit, 6 times 90, and suddenly you have a nice DPS output, while looking incredibly stylish, essentially wielding a lightsaber. You have the ability to shoot Master Sword beams, which is just very edgy and cool. And it just looks the best. It feels the most smooth. Like, yes, spin attacks might be more powerful, but one-hand weapons feel much more smooth. They're my favorite weapon type in the game. And the Master Sword is simply my favorite. It might be boring. Maybe you're disappointed, but I'm just honest. That's my favorite weapon. Normal weapon in Breath of the Wild. Anyway, let's talk about bows. And my favorite bow is a fan favorite. Most people, I think purely casual players, would say their favorite bow is the Savage Lionel bow that shoots 5 arrows. And the reason it is because it's the highest single target, highest damage per shot, right? But by far, the most powerful bow and my favorite bow in the game is the Great Eagle bow. The Great Eagle bow is the perfect compromise between solid damage, 28 times 3, incredibly nice range. Look at this. Incredibly nice range. Obviously, I wouldn't be able to actually hit something that's that far away. But range matters even on like shorter distances because you don't really experience any arrow drop-off. And last but not least, it has really fast drawing speed, which means it doesn't take you a long time to actually... Like, the DPS is really high. You can shoot in very quick succession. Now, technically, it was very close. So this is my favorite bow because it's stronger. But I think my favorite bow to use, this is just something I wanted to mention, is the Royal Guards bow with the quick shot modifier. I talked about this before in a video where I ranked all bows in Breath of the Wild. If you have never had the joy of using a Royal Guards bow with the quick shot modifier, go out of your way, go to your late game Breath of the Wild save file, and look for one of those bows. What you need to do is you just simply need to go to Hyrule Castle or something and then continuously pick up the the Royal Guards bows until you find one. Technically, if you're playing on Master Mode, there is a chest with a Royal Guards bow. You can simply save before that chest and then continuously reload until one of those bows has the quick shot modifier, and you will know what I'm talking about. No other bow in this game has a fire rate than this bow, and obviously it has really low durability, so it becomes a little bit more trash if you don't use glitches to change the durability, which I said we're not gonna be part of this. Then yes, it's a bit underwhelming because it breaks so quickly, but nonetheless, I think you have to experience that once. It's incredibly fun. No other bow feels like it. And especially hitting like bosses with it, like Hinoxes or maybe even Ganon, it just feels so satisfying. So quick shot Royal Guard bow, definitely up there, but my favorite bow is the Great Eagle bow. My favorite shield is an absolutely easy contender, and it's not even close. And no, it's not the Hylian shield. My favorite shield in the game, by far, is the Radiant shield. The Radiant shield, also, by the way, you've probably been noticing that I'm missing so many wind bombs. This is because I can't see the map, because I'm going for the cinematic cool look. I'll sacrifice not getting every single wind bomb for that, because I think it makes the game look a little bit cooler, a little bit special. But if you can't see the map, you can tell if your wind bomb is going in a cardinal direction, and it's very easy to get a dead angle. I talked about this in my wind bomb guide a long time ago, but I just wanted to briefly mention it. But yeah, the Radiant shield, by far, my favorite shield. It basically, also how much percent do we have? 8.5, nice. We have like half of the Korok still to go through. So yeah, the Radiant shield by far my favorite. And the reason it's my favorite is because it is the most slick shield in the game. What does the most slick shield in the game mean? It means it has the best, by default, the best shield surfing capabilities. Which is something that we don't do a lot on speedrunning, at least anymore, not that much. But it's still very fun to use casually. Shield surfing around is very satisfying. It also helps, like a shield being that slick helps a lot for multiple glitches in the game. It has great base durability, not quite Hylian shield level, but it's definitely good enough. For sure. And it looks very pretty. All those things together.
Rivali's Gale is now ready.
Thank you, Rivali. Make the Radiant shield my favorite shield in the game. I'm sure you've used it before if you played this game a lot. If not, go ahead and see what the hype is all about. In that case, the hype being me just talking about it. But let's go on to armor. And armor, I think, yes, there is lots of powerful armor in this game, sure. But at the end of the day, even as a speedrunner, what it comes down to for armor is aesthetics. So I'm simply gonna tell you what my favorite armor piece in the game is. Not set, but piece. I can also briefly talk about my favorite armor combination, but my favorite armor piece in the game is the Dark Tunic. At the end of the day, it looks the coolest, in my opinion. It has that edgy look. It looks like the Ocarina of Time tunic, but basically just a black version of it. It looks incredibly stylish. I'm a big fan. And aesthetically, it's my favorite. My full favorite outfit is the Sheikah mask together with the Dark Tunic and the Royal Guards boots. It just makes for a nice look. I'm a fan. But the Dark Tunic is my favorite armor piece. For usability, obviously, it would be something else. I'd say for usability, maybe some of the Royal Guards pieces would be the best. The Royal Guards pieces actually have lots of hidden mechanics that people don't necessarily know about. For example, they allow you to climb with less stamina consumption, swim with less stamina consumption. I'm pretty sure it's an oversight. Originally, the Royal Guards pieces were only meant to make it so that your spin attacks cost less stamina. But for some reason, basically every action in the game that reduces stamina, other than gliding, I think, is actually buffed with the Royal Guards here. So that's nice usability-wise, but no, my favorite armor is the Dark Tunic. I don't have it on this file yet. Eventually, I will get it, though. Materials. Well, materials, it's gonna be a little bit of a boring answer. There's not too much to talk about, but my favorite material in the game is a fairy. And that's because, specifically recently, being able to... And I guess I'm considering glitches here because they don't really change the nature of the item. But because we're able to duplicate fairies now, making it so that we can wind bomb wherever we want, do any glitch we want, and never have to worry about having to eat to replenish our stamina. That is, for me, the reason that the fairy is the best. That glitch has been so incredibly nice to play with in speedruns. Never having to worry about... Never having to worry about how much food you have in your inventory, if you can do the next wind bomb or not, and just simply going because you have an infinite amount of fairies. Just feels incredibly nice and makes it so that the fairy is my favorite material in the game. A little bit of a biased answer as a speedrunner. I don't know what else to say really about material. You could talk about aesthetics here too. Like, yes, a diamond is nice. It's worth a lot of money. But yeah, now for food, there is actually an interesting answer. Let me see if I can find a cooking pot. I can go over to this Bokoblin camp after I get this Korok and tell you why this food I'm about to make is my favorite food in Breath of the Wild. But before we do that, I can quickly talk about key items. And my favorite key item in the game is a little bit difficult, because technically you can count Daruk's protection here. I would say the paraglider shouldn't really count. It would easily be my favorite because of how fun it makes this game. All of the cool movement glitches essentially have to do with opening the paraglider after a specific launch and flying across Hyrule. So that might be a little bit biased, but if we exclude the paraglider from the equation, it would just have to be Revali's Gale. It's the most convenient one, easily. Urbosa's Fury, talking about that real quick, does have uses. It actually makes killing mini-bosses really fast. There is some specific enemies in this game, some specific taluses, that actually get one-shot by one Urbosa's Fury, and it's actually incredibly satisfying. Oh, this guy is just gonna drown, I guess. But there's a cooking pot here, so we can talk about meals as well. Actually, I have 5 fire arrows, so I'll use these. But yeah, that makes it so that Revali's Gale, especially casually, is just more fun. It helps you explore. Sometimes when you are, even in speedrunning, when you are in positions where you can't continue anymore, and you're essentially stuck somewhere, it's nice to just be able to use Revali's Gale and then do a mid-air wind bomb. Do a wind bomb from the air. It's a super powerful tool for skipping specific puzzles in Divine Beast. Overall, it's just really good. And it probably would have to be my favorite key item. Another really funny key item, if you've never read the description, is the coveted envelope that you get for completing all pictures in 100%. Definitely something worth reading. But other than that, there's not much to say here. It's mostly the Divine Beast powers. Some of the right items, like the saddles and stuff, go in here. But the Thunder Helm is in here at one point. It later moves over to Armor. But yeah, that being said, it's just Revali's Gale. It's by far my favorite key item, I'd say. It would technically be the Paraglider. It almost feels cheap, but it's between those two. If the Paraglider counts, it's it. If not, it's Revali's Gale. Pretty easy answer for me. But now, let me talk about food. My favorite food is this. I take one Endura Mushroom and I cook it. One single mushroom gives you this dish. It is supposed to fill your stamina, overfill your stamina by a tiny bit with this this red is the heart, this yellow stamina meter. Now that in general sounds okay, you get a little bit of extra stamina, but the reason this is so incredibly powerful is, let's say you play the game, you wind bomb up to the Temple of Time here, and you want to get this Korok. Actually, I've already gotten this Korok, but let's just assume I didn't get this Korok yet. I want to go up here, and I realize, oh, I am running out of stamina. The second I run out of stamina, I can eat the meal I just cooked, and not only do I get yellow stamina, but my entire stamina bar gets filled up again. For the price of one single mushroom or any Endura type food, you can get a full stamina refill. I repeat, a full stamina refill. While only consuming one meal. And you instead, this is always the biggest bait. Like, trust me, instead of making a mushroom skewer with these Endura mushrooms with 5 Endura skewers, give you like a little bit more yellow stamina. Every Endura food that you have, cook it in a single item portion. Put one of those items into a cooking pot, cook them up, and collect as many of those foods as you can. It's incredibly powerful. You will, if you have like 20 or 40 of those meals in your inventory and you have maxed out stamina, you literally never have to worry about running out of stamina again. You can stay mid-air forever. You can chain multiple mid-air wind bombs, one after another. And it's just incredibly powerful. If you've never tried this, trust me, try it out. It's really good. I highly recommend it. Alright, we are on 8.76% here, so if we get like 2 more Korok seeds, we should basically be at 9. Maybe not exactly 9%, maybe just before 9%, but that I think would be a good stopping point, because I'm now done talking about my favorite items of each type in this game. I'll quickly get this apple Korok seed. And then over here at the big tree, there is some lily pads I can fall into. Oh, I don't know why Link wasn't properly ZL jumping there. And then that should leave us with 8.9%. We still have 168 days until Tears of the Kingdom comes out. So plenty of time. Let's just jump in here. Maybe get out of this pond so we don't get eaten alive by Lizalfos. Oh, actually, you know what? Instead, what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to warp over to Cryonis. Because tomorrow I'm going to make my way to Satori Mountain, get Koroks and Shrines there, and collect a bunch of foods. Because I definitely still desperately need that in this specific file. But yeah, that being said, thank you guys for watching. Thank you for listening to my favorite weapons and items in Breath of the Wild. I appreciate it. I hope you enjoy the rest of your day. 168 days to Tears of the Kingdom. I hope I see you tomorrow on the next episode. Thank you for watching again. Peace.